see you as much as possible. Anything I didn't mention about campus being open, everyone, or any questions about that? Oops. Does that mean the education resource? Oh, good question about education resource room. So before, Cindy, were you going to jump in? Okay. So the education resource room will be open and available, but only by appointment. The reason for that is a couple things. One, we don't want to have 10 people decide they want to use it at a given time and then, have them fighting over who gets to be there. Also, we want to make sure somebody's in the office to let you in. Most of the staff and most of us 12-month people are there on a every other day kind of basis, but it can sometimes result in a day or a half a day where no one's there. So in that case, please be sure to just email us ahead of time for the resource room. If you don't make an appointment with us and say you wanted to meet with Cindy or Mike or Megan, you would need to set up an appointment in advance with them so that, of course, they're there for you. But say you just happen to be on campus and you want to pop in and see who's in the School of Education. That's allowed. However, you'll see outside the School of Education door is the phone number for the office for Jenny Cunningham's desk, where you would call and gain entry into the School of Ed. Again, an abundance of caution, just being sure that we're all being really safe. We'll have the front door that many of you come in by the chocolate area, where the chocolate jar is. That's the entrance door. And everyone will be asked only to go one-way traffic down the hallway and exit by Jenny. So if you try to enter by Jenny, she might say, nope, turn around, go to the other entrance. So those are some things that you might expect just on campus. Yeah. Anything else about campus? Questions? Okay. Excellent. So field experiences, this is a big topic and I know it's one on your mind. So I'm actually going to turn it over to Harrison for him to discuss with you what we're doing with field experiences this semester.
Well, as you well know, it's been a rocky road, right? If you've been following the news at all, you've heard schools are open, schools are closed, schools are in a hybrid mode. Now we're closed. So the situation continues to evolve, and we have not meant to evade talking to you about it, but what I come from is that I want to try to give you the most recent information I can and try to make one decision and stick with it as opposed to going back and forth. I think that's what you deserve, right? And so even as of now, CPS, as an example, had decided they were going to go to a 3-2 hybrid model. So kids in school 2 days, the other remote, and then those kids who were remote would come in for 3 days, and the ones that had been there for 2 days would come out, and they would flop back and forth. Now they're rethinking that. So now there's a board meeting on Monday. Here we are in August. And it could very well be that they're going to go completely remote with their students. So the situation continues to evolve. So from our viewpoint in the School of Education is what can we do to make sure that you're still getting the information you need and you're being able to practice, because that's what practicum and student teaching are. They're practice. There's the application pieces to everything you've learned, right? So how can we be sure that you have gotten the skills that you need to be an effective teacher? Well, one way, of course, is to take your OAEs, right? That's kind of proof for the state that that's what they require for you to be a teacher. So for us, it's how do we do this in a safe way that protects your safety and your health, right? Because that's ultimate to us. And of course, we think about the health and safety of the students and of the mentor teacher. So because when you're at the Mount as an undergraduate, you get lots and lots of experience, many hours in the field. What we've decided we're going to do is we're going to have all undergraduate. Now, this is different from the student teaching. I'll talk about the student teaching piece in a second. But the practicums for undergraduates are probably all going to be alternate assignments so that you will not be in a school at all. Again, that's for your protection. And if you decide that, hey, I have got to be in a school no matter what. Now, understand, when you say you'll be in a school, That might mean you're still virtual because that's what the school district has moved to, but it might also mean that you're also in a school building. If you feel strongly about that, you can petition an appeal and give us some reasons why, and we'll send that email to you about that. But we think for your safety, it's best that the undergraduates for practicum have alternate assessments, assignments that the state has given us permission. So we'll craft these very carefully to kind of measure your ability to plan, your ability to assess, your ability to build relationships. So we'll build that into it. They'll be carefully crafted that way. Last semester, we got cut off really quickly, so we devised a very quick solution to that. That won't be the case for this. We're going to build this. For student teaching, because it's your last chance, right? We are going to place those teachers, student teachers, in with districts. Now, again, those districts may be virtual and closed down for the majority of the semester, or they might be closed for September and October and then start in November, December back in school. I truly don't know, right? But for some of you who are at the very end, if you're student teaching this coming semester, this is your last chance, right? So we're going to try to get it right by you. And we just thought that this was probably the best way of doing that. And again, if you are student teaching and you say, I really feel that I can't go into a school, I can't risk it, you know, I'm immunocompromised, then there'll be a way for you to petition out of that particular decision, and that'll come in an email to you as well. I hope you kind of understand what our stresses are. Trust me, I've had many sleepless nights, and I know Dr. Saylor probably has too, about, oh my gosh, how is this going to work? How is it affecting our students? How do we best go about doing it and still, you know, preserve your health and your safety, right? So that's what we've kind of come to in terms of placements. Practicum placements will be alternate assignments that will be spelled out and turned in, and student teaching will be with districts. And I know Ms. Dubé has worked really hard to place all of you. She really has. And again, it boils down to the risk involved and then your safety and your health. Any questions about that? I'm sure there are tons of them.
Harrison, there's a few questions in the chat bar, but before I address them, I just want to share that, you know, one of the issues that is presenting itself is that mentor teachers are feeling not sure that they can take on much right now. They are, as you can imagine, our mentor teachers are extremely stressed. So we're trying to alleviate their stress by telling them that we will have to maybe do some things differently as far as the time they spend, for instance, on the DICE forms. So we're really trying to be thoughtful about our mentor teachers. I also just want to mention that undergraduates who, you know, appeal and want to have a face-to-face physical practicum experience, which you can ask for, will have to understand that a lot of parts of their other life will have to stop. And that's a really hard thing when it's just a 50-hour practicum. We will need you to agree to making sure that you are keeping just keeping the state rules in place. So not being at gatherings of more than 10 people, even in your off hours, making sure that you are always at a 6-foot distance from others, even in your off hours. I mean, aside from the people you live with, your family, you know, and making sure that you are not putting anyone in jeopardy at all. And that's with the 50 hours, we really felt like it was important to do that, because unlike a student teaching where you're there for 15 weeks, it's not like you have much, I hate to scare any of you, but once you're student teaching, it's not like you have much of a life anyway, right? So, so it's not like we wouldn't be as worried about you transferring things from space to space. So, you know, that was one piece. I do see the question that Megan asked, could it be possible to do a virtual practicum rather than the alternative? One of the issues we have with that, you know, we like the idea, is that the districts don't always know for sure if they're going to be what they're doing. So the teacher may have some face-to-face and some virtual, or it might start off face-to-face and go virtual or whatever. So it's just too dynamic to kind of do that. But some of the alternatives that we're coming up with mirror just like what you're talking about. So these will be things that will give you opportunities to practice building lessons. They will provide you possibly opportunities to assess other people's teaching using the dice form or some kind of system like that. So, we'll be working, these will be different than what you did last semester for sure. And they will be much more in line with the kinds of outcomes you would gain in a practicum. And
it could be, as an example, it could be that you'll build a lesson and then we'll ask you to teach it to a group of people in your group, practicum group, and then a supervisor will watch you deliver that lesson and then give you feedback on it. Now, we understand it's a little different because you don't have little kids in front of you. So we'd want you to kind of teach that as if they were the little kids themselves, and hopefully they'll behave themselves, But that's one way. So people can view your teaching. It'll just be in the absence of a classroom full of students that may present a risk. So.
Right. And I think too, I see another question, assignments in place of be time specific or more like online coursework that we do on your own. And they won't be time specific. There'll be due dates, but they won't be time specific as far as meeting online. However,
right. It would be.
Go ahead, Harrison.
I was going to say, it would be like if you were in your practicum and you, according to your schedule, you fit in the times that you can make it to your practicum, right? To fit your schedule. It'd be the same kind of thing. It wouldn't be a specific time. Go ahead, Dr.
Yeah,
Taylor.
I was just going to say, the only thing that you might have to schedule would be if we say, one of the concepts that we want to use might be something called micro teaching, which is just getting feedback from other students, other student teachers or practicum people on your lessons. So doing that type of thing, you're probably going to have to schedule time with if you have a small group that we assign you. So, I'm looking at your faces here. So Megan and Anne Marie and Emily, you might be in a group or something like that. And then you would need to have time where you guys decide on your own, like, okay, let's look at our stuff here and give feedback, that kind of thing. So, so there could be that as well. So if the practicum is fully online, which I don't know that we'll be able to do, we wouldn't, of course, require all the rules that we're talking about as far as working with schools. So, but yeah, so, and these were some hard decisions because we hate the idea of pulling you from the field, but at the same time, we don't want you to end up being, when a mentor teacher is so spread so thin, and these mentor teachers are going through so much, we're worried, first of all, we don't want to overwhelm them, but also we weren't sure that it would be the experience that you needed. Mentor teachers, when they're, with everything they've got going on, they probably won't be able to give the same direction that they gave to our practicum students in the past. And that's no slight on them. Lord knows they're dealing with a lot. But we wanted to make sure all those outcomes were met and in a safe way. So there will be an email that comes out saying, here's what's going on. If you want to appeal for a face-to-face, please fill out this form by, I think it's going to be August 10th. But so we expect to get that.
And it'll come from Kara Dubé probably.
Yes.
As she's kind of figured out all your placements thus far. Again, it's a new wrench in the works, but I think it is what it is. If anything, it's helping us show our resiliency as a profession, right? And resiliency as teachers. It's something that I have never seen in my lifetime, and I, quite frankly, never wish to see it again. But in the meantime, we want to do what we can to make sure we're still providing trained teachers. Mount St. Joseph has such a good reputation in the education field around here. And I know that from knowing administrators in the various school districts that they love getting MSJ prepared teachers. So we're not going to short shrift anybody on that. We want that to continue on for sure.